Craig Bergsgaard of Windsor, Colorado, is a self-made storyteller of the Wild West, and his sculptures create pictures of those stories. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the sculptor whom we honor today, Craig Bergsgaard.
Thank you, Dix. I have a tendency to do a Joe Biden when I go off script here, so pardon me for reading. Distinguished guests, thank you all for coming. And handing a microphone to an artist is a dangerous thing, so thank you for trusting me with a mighty weapon. You've heard all the thanks, and many have been thanked, but I need to take this opportunity to thank some folks as well. None more important than the other, so I thought it appropriate to list them in chronological order. Pam Riddler, we started 3 years ago with just a quick conversation. I remember pretty much the context of the conversation was how do we get a piece like that? And you probably remember my comments, but we don't need to share. Dix Morrison, the mayor was then next conversation a year later. And then we moved on to Dix Morrison, the Public Art Commission, Town Council, as the council member that was wondering if they can blow up the boot in our presence here.
No. Oh, was that Ryan?
I was watching it on the computer or on the internet a few days later, and I'm screaming at it. I said, "It's closed off! It's closed off again!"
Why our fire chief's here?
The Parks Department did a great job. Jeff Brower and his crew. Most of all of his crew, and who, by the way, along with Dix and Allison, were the only people that were witness to me actually riding that horse. And I want to thank them for doing a great job. You can ask them about me riding that horse. It was funny, I'm sure, on their end. And of course, all have been mentioned that are involved with paying for this. Once again, the Castle Rock Chamber of Commerce, which, by the way, puts on one of the premier art shows in the country. So just want that on record. Town of Castle Rock, Douglas County Library Foundation, Black Hills Energy, and a special thank you to Sally and Melissa for getting the actual paperwork done. It's sometimes that takes forever. I'd just like to take a moment to say a few words about the Public Art Commission and all public art commissions in general. It's my personal opinion, they do a great job, but my guess, it's pretty much a thankless job, as art is very personal. It is their job to push and stretch the boundaries and parameters of the concept we call art. This takes strength, courage, and fortitude, which, even when removing my personal bias, is obviously with your group. Thank you again. I guess that brings me to my personal bias. I want you to know I am so thrilled to have this piece here in Colorado, and I couldn't be happier that it happens to be in Castle Rock. This piece was conceived here in Colorado with inspiration drawn from what I feel is the epicenter of the capital W West, and the hard work and perseverance it takes to survive here. As I travel with this piece, most people greet it with a smile or a hearty chuckle, which is certainly welcome and not without merit. But the fact that it resonates with people from the mudroom to the boardroom speaks volumes to the survival instinct, willingness, and the ability to sacrifice that is present in mankind. Just a quick story. I was showing this piece at the Loveland Sculpture Show one year when a gentleman pops into my space and kind of proclaims that he's from Boston, which by his demeanor bristled me a bit, and he expressed to his surprise at the amount of Western art on display. My first thought should have been, well, we are in the West. But of course, I was selling, and I asked him if he had seen the life-size cowboy in the front. He had not, and then after I finished describing the visual, he, in a perceived error, said, "Not exactly high art." In a defensive tenor, I made some comment about hanging a urinal on a wall in New York City. But what I should have said was au contraire. Judging from the people that this resonates with, I feel it personifies the beauty, relationships, sacrifice, and connection to the planet that is at our core, especially those who call the West our home. While titled Coolin' the Dogs, a nom de plume, or AKA name, has evolved over the years, that it being Gus and Dusty. Dusty for the trusty loyal mount, and friend of our wrangler, named for the obvious reasons. Gus, a name... Sorry, let me get this.
Can't find it.
It'll shut up. It'll take them longer to shut up than me to find the button. Somebody probably stuck in traffic on I-25 in Denver Tech Center. It was a mess. Gus, a name bestowed on the cowboy by my friend Larry, who's in the crowd, because he reminded him of Gus McCrae, a character from the acclaimed book by Larry McMurtry and the TV series Lonesome Dove. Well, I pulled inspiration from another character from the same series. My friend saw in this guy the incurable romantic that was so eloquently played by the actor. I feel you will find this juxtaposition of romance and survival in most of my work. So to the future generations of Castle Rock, it is my fervent hope you never forget the gains and losses of the past, and that you protect the grand vistas we immerse ourselves in daily. As always, a special thank you to my lovely wife, without whose support and love, I would not be able to do what I love to do and for what I feel I was put here to do. So thank you all for coming, and enjoy.
When the Public Art Commission began planning for a work of art that would highlight this Eastern Gateway, we were aware that the Craig and Gould history needed to be the predominant factor in our consideration, and thus the call for entry spelled that out. Craig's Coolin' the Dogs captured the message beautifully. His sculpture speaks of the history and of the persevering nature of the people of this area who settled it. It also portrays a sense of humor, without which a community cannot successfully survive. The Public Art Commission has been active in this community for almost a decade, and in that time it has become quite apparent that art is not objective. Based on the various comments that we get on any one piece that goes up. However, from the positive responses across the area on this selection, we are convinced that we saddled the right horse this time. And we're especially grateful to the Department of Parks and Recreation, because when we placed the art, they were the ones who secured it into the ground, which we could not have done. And then they followed through with landscaping that area, and we're particularly grateful to them. All those who made this event possible believe that this work of art provides a significant and appropriate welcome to this area. And we hereby proudly dedicate Coolin' the Dogs as the anchor of the Eastern Gateway to the town of Castle Rock. Thank you, and enjoy some refreshments.
No.